Hey guys, the green future is here whether you want it to be or not. The EU Parliament votes to effectively ban new combustion engine cars by 2035. Sounds like a great idea. It's not like there's, like a lot of farming, a lot of construction that needs to happen. No, you can just go ahead and get all of your, electric cars out there, and if you can't afford it, well, you can just get put right on government transportation. They can control your every movement, and don't mind the new EU transportation pass. It's just digital identification that they're also trying to push in places like the UK and then other countries inside the EU and the continental side of things. No, don't worry about any of that stuff. That's just simply a conspiracy theory. They're trying to do it for the environment, bro. European Parliament has given its formal approval to new vehicle emission standards that would effectively ban the widespread sale of combustion engine cars and vans in the 27-country bloc by 2035. The organization announced today 340 members voted in favor of the rules versus 279 against and 21 abstained. The initial agreement on the new rules was reached last October. We talked about it then as well, and then that ended up, I don't know if that was the impetus for the big farmer protests, but we'll see what happens here. We'll see if they keep that same energy, which calls for all cars and vans sold in the EU to emit zero CO2 emissions by the middle of next decade. Because climate change? Oh, but don't worry about what happened in Ohio. That was like weeks ago. Don't worry about it. The rules still have a couple more stages to go through before becoming law, but the unelected body that is the EU will just tell you how you can live your life because they know exactly what's best for the environment. Until you take a look at the actual science, then you realize that, all of the mining, all of the effort in order to charge those vehicles is actually worse for the environment. But hey man, you can wear that badge of virtue that you bought for yourself, and you can know that you're doing a good thing out there. You're one of the good white people. New study says EV conversions will hike lithium demand and increase mining will cause wider environmental damage. Yo, man, yeah, mining for lithium? I don't know if you've seen any of those mines. Those are normally the ones that get misconstrued into natural resources, like oil and natural gas. All of those terrible mines that are out here, just providing good, hardworking jobs for a bunch of blue-collar individuals. No. You need to shut down coal mines because they strip mine the area, and pipelines are so bad and evil. You take a look at those grassy, well-forested pipeline crossings where there's very minimal, if any, environmental impact. No. We just need to go to a purely solar, wind-based future. We need to have no carbon emissions except in nuclear, and that's just bad because I remember watching Chernobyl, and I get all of my information from Hollywood, and if they actually gave a shit about the environment, they would be talking nuclear. They wouldn't be talking solar panels. You've seen pictures. I know that I've run a different B-roll on those stupid solar farms. It's like, okay, cool. You don't want people to have farms, but you just want to have these acres of solar panels, which is only feasible deserted areas with a whole bunch of sun. Like solar power, wind in my neck of the woods, northern Alberta, Grand Prairie, in that area, wind was assessed, and we got wind all the time, okay? It said that there's not enough wind to make it feasible, so we've got these big, gigantic wind turbines that are just ultimately going to end up amounting to nothing. But then also a significant amount of the year, at least 6 months of the year, we're under snow. Like, it's been a very spastic winter here so far. There's been 50 below, there's been 10 above, there's been, just a week-long stretch of just dumping, driving snow, and then there's just been long swaths without any. It's been buck-ass wild, but there has been snow, there has been cold, there's been severe cold, and if you think that solar panels are meant to go through that much weather disparity in a very short period of time, you are out of your mind. And just the amount of space that these things take up, it's just not feasible. And especially for the return that you get on said solar power, the technology isn't there yet. The concept is great. It's wonderful. Oh my God, you can harness the power of the sun. What sounds better than that? Well, finding a way to translate that energy into a tangible good for individuals, that's a problem. That's a bit of a problem. It's good enough for your calculator, but for, running your stove or your microwave, that'd be a little bit more of a delicate balance. But let's see what we can actually have, because at least the Europeans, and I'm sure most of the rest of the cucked out West, are going to be adopting these policies very, very shortly. So forced obsolescence is definitely on its way. Let's go. So it's going to be funny. It's going to be funny if they're even going to address this, how the elites that vote for this stuff, because your old school engines are just too uncultured for our new diversified future, how they're going to end up reconciling that, moving over to green vehicles, and then also strip mining some of the poorest nations on Earth and displacing a bunch of people in order to strip mine and just absolutely decimate these areas. I wonder how they're going to reconcile those two facts. Anyways, I don't think they're going to do it anyways. Converting America's fleet of privately owned cars and trucks from internal combustion gasoline, diesel-fueled engines to electric vehicles that just don't... The technology's also not there for that as well. You just take a look at how much they can carry, how far their loads can go. Pause. It's just not feasible, especially with time constraints as well. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense with the technology that's available right now. In the future, if it's all wonderful and fantastic, if you can plug your car in for 15 minutes and you get a full charge out of it, like charging a cell phone. You remember how long it took back in the day if something was stone cold dead, son. My phone don't work. What? I need to charge it. What? It's going to take 6 hours. What? But now you can fast charge something and it's what, like an hour from probably, yeah, completely dead to now it's just, you know, ready, rearing and able to go. You don't have stuff like that with electric vehicles, at least with the technology that's out there right now. Avoiding the lithium shortages and dramatically increased environmental demand will require all but eliminating privately owned vehicles. Concentrating the United States population in big cities, oh, that's great, because there's not horrifying videos that you can see every single day of horrific violence and atrocities, the homeless populations. There's definitely nothing wrong with living in a big city in 2023. Requiring the use of smaller batteries to make Americans rely on public transportation, the report claims. Yo, somebody's hip to what I've been talking about for a while. That's all to just funnel you towards the government, because the party in power right now relies on huge government, and if you're reliant on the government to live, well, you got to vote for the party that wants you to vote for them. So you can see the sales funnel that's happening right here. If today's demand for EVs is projected to 2050, the lithium requirements of the United States EV market would require triple the amount of lithium currently produced for the entire global market. Yo! This boom in demand would be met by the expansion of mining. Yeah, because, you know, drilling for oil and natural gas, you know, that practically perfected practice, that's just, hey, that's just too messy. We can't be doing that now. All of those sophisticated pipelines that are under the earth, no, we can just go ahead and leave them there. Like, whatever, man. Climate and Community Project is an environmental advocacy group that describes itself as fiscally supportive of the Tides Center, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The San Francisco-based Tides Center is an extension of the Tides Foundation, which originated the use of nonprofits to give liberal donors who don't wish to be publicly identified with projects to help fund an anonymous or dark money means of doing so. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so there, it's funny. You call yourself the Tides Foundation, and all you do is launder money. Interesting. Large-scale mining entails social and environmental harm, in many cases irreversibly damaging landscapes without the consent of affected communities. Yeah, no, of course. But I like seeing this picture on like Reddit that just shows that when people do strip mining, when it comes to like coal, that it's just irreversibly damaged and nothing bad ever happens and you can't reclaim that land. Fucking dolts. But the volume of extraction is not given. Neither is where the mining takes place, who bears the social and environmental burden, or how mining is governed. The solution to enable the conversion to an electric-powered transportation system, according to the report, is the limiting the amount of lithium mining necessary by reducing the car dependence of the transportation system, decreasing the size of electric vehicles, batteries, and maximizing lithium recycling. All right, reordering the U.S. transportation system through policy and spending shifts to prioritize public and active transit, while reducing car dependency can also ensure transit equity, protect ecosystems respect indigenous rights, and meet the demands of global justice. The report comes as the man is pushing forward his 2021 executive order mandating that at least, and this all comes by fiat and not by legislation. Hilarious. So hopefully if the next guy, which is the old guy, takes back the office, well, he can just go ahead and do away with that stupid policy with just a single swipe of a pen. But yes, at least half or all cars and trucks sold by the United States need to be electric vehicles by 2030. How adorable. Biden's program will also provide massive spending, like the recently announced $2 billion guaranteed loan for the Department of Energy. Great. The government's going to loan the government more money, and it's going to benefit you, trust me, to EV battery maker Redwood Materials. Oh my God, how much of a stake does the Biden family have in Redwood Materials? Biden also wants to expand federal tax credits for EVs. Now, tax credits, that's fine. That's fine. But, the entire policy is asinine to begin with. Epoch Times asked multiple Democrats on the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee and Energy and Commerce Committees for comment on the report projection of spiraling demand for lithium and increased environmental damage caused by mining for the precious element, but none responded. I'm shocked. Democratic strategist David Carlucci told The Times he doesn't think Biden should rework his 2030 EV mandate as a result of the study. Yeah, because they've all spent so much money and did so much time in trading stocks in green energy incentives. Like, come on now. Why would you want to scuttle all of that good work? We've got a green future to profit. Usher in. Taking into account the chances of innovation of smaller batteries, our increased production in lithium is critical before rethinking the plan. Yeah, of course, if you think innovation is on the horizon, that's wonderful and fantastic. It's just 7 years away. I'm just saying, things will get better, advances will be made. But in that period of time, in the grand scheme of things, actually, in the grand scheme of, human existence, I've got my fingers pressed as tightly together as possible. That approximates to just a fraction of what it needs to be in order to approximate 7 years, but my ice cap's melting, right? Carlucci also questioned the likelihood of private transportation having to be limited or eliminated. Although the report suggests limiting or outright banning transportation, I do not believe that this is feasible or realistic action the government will take. No, the government's not going to directly do it, but if you have to buy an electrical vehicle and you live out in the country and it's just not feasible to make 2 trips back and forth to the city every day, well, you're just boned, bro. There's always been this agenda in the same way that you want to ban gas stoves, said Daniel Kish, Senior Vice President of the Institute for Energy Research. No, you guys are just stuck on the gas stoves. It's just another scare tactic, psyop for the right. The American dream is under attack, and the elites and central planners are using climate change and energy as a means to make us all ride on the back of a bus. What is extraordinary is they are now admitting it. Yes, exactly. And they already laid the groundwork with the all too willing, ready, and able-bodied people just lining up and having their digital passports available. Oh, you love to see it. Kish also pointed to the IER report on growing resistiveness and opposition to the state level to an EV conversion. 6 Wyoming state legislatures have introduced a measure to ban EVs from throughout the state by 2035. Interesting. That's one way to go about it. Well, hell, if the feds are trying to implement it, turnabout's fair play in my opinion, especially in this issue. The IER report also pointed out the recent study produced for Canada's Alberta province. Shout out to my hometown. Government projected severe and widespread economic damage resulting from the EV conversion. Oh yeah, no, this entire province would be just absolutely boned if this stuff went through. We're sitting on lakes and oceans of oil, natural gas, everything that you want, any way that you want it. Oil sand, great. Frack it, betcha. Just drill for it, old school. Yay, man, you name the place, you point at the hole in the ground and we'll make it happen. And guess what? Hey, man, it ain't a problem, man. I've seen this stuff happen firsthand. I've been on leases. I've been on sites. I've been on pipeline crossings. I've been down in the ditch. I've seen these pipelines get put together all the way from a 2-inch all the way up into a 16-inch, 24-inch, 36-inch pipeline. I've seen them get put into the ground. I've seen them repaired. I've dug them up. I've exposed them. All of that stuff, man. I've seen this stuff happen right to my face. Well, after I wipe away the mud, because it's tough work and it's hard work, and you don't see too many calls for equity in that line of work from the feminists, but they're more or less just happy working in the oil patch, and they're comfy office chairs. But hey, man, that's totally fine. House Republicans contend the study should put the brakes on the Biden mandate and suggested consumer choice driving market innovation will result in a better result. Yeah, exactly. If they make electric vehicles that are just so far ahead of any traditional vehicle that's out there, bet. Go for it. That's just naturally going to drive the market towards EVs. But when you try to force stuff like this, when you try to make this artificial leap forward, it never ends up working out well. Just take a look at New Coke. Take a look at Crystal Pepsi. Take a look at Biden telling us that he's the most popular president. 81 million votes. Can't be wrong. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.